Frazetta Girl's Vampirella. So, what does Frank Frazetta have to do with Vampirella? We know he didn't create her. We know that. And we know he's not the original artist that helped work on her and set the aesthetic. So what is it? Why does Frazetta Girls claim the fame for helping to create this character? Well, as far as I'm aware, I am no history buff. Let's go ahead and put that out there right now, nor do I ever claim to be any kind of an expert. When things interest me, sometimes I look up information. It's that simple. If I remember right, and this has been a while, in the 60s when this character was created, was it 69? I don't remember exactly. He did the first comic book cover. And his design and painting set a standard for the way these comic book covers would be handled moving forward, and is a heavy influence even today in the body type that she's often given and stuff like that. And there are a ton of artists who will do Frank Frazetta inspired design when they do the covers. Also, we can't lie about this, his covers sold books and got the #1 issue onto the shelf and off of the shelf. Once it got into enough hands, we went to issue 2, issue 3, issue 4. Hey, the covers matter more than we like to pretend. I mean, it's just the way that it is. There is a reason people buy variant covers. It's because the cover matters. It is the very first thing that catches the eye of the reader. That's why so many Robert E. Howard Conan the Barbarian books left the shelves when they did after Frank Frazetta did all the covers for those series of books, which then brought it back into the public eye in the collections. Let's just be honest about what covers do. A cover, believe it or not, can make or break the entirety of an art. I mean, it's true. Sometimes your story might be great, but the cover that you chose to go with is terrible, and that's the end of it. Now, if I'm not mistaken, that cover was redone somewhere in the 90s, very early 90s. It might even be as early as like 91, where he redid that cover, and I think he did her in the nude. I'm not going to be 100% on that one, but I feel like I remember this somewhere, a tidbit of information, that he redid it as a painting or something like that, did that cover in the nude, and then I think he sold it at auction. And I don't know if I've ever seen that, if I'm being honest. I don't know if I've ever seen that work. Maybe it's just a rumor that I'm remembering or something like that, but I feel like that was a thing. And then there's also a couple of other Vampirella Frazetta paintings in general, which are considered to be absolute masterworks. And I think it's on the cover of the box. So there's that. Guys, we give it the due. He did the cover. He helped push the character and format the design. That is why it's part of the Frazetta collection. The Frazetta Girls are doing things that he helped work with. They're not claiming to be the absolute creators or give him all the credit, but they're willing to give credit where credit is due. And they're also going out of their way, from what I'm understanding, that this character inside of here, this figure, is going to be blatantly inspired by the artwork that he did, not necessarily the character appearing in the comics as she did by other artists. It's that simple. I thought I seen a couple of people when this was coming out that did actually ask this question a couple of times. What does Frank Frazetta have to do with Vampirella? Well, that's what he has to do with it. He did multiple covers, he's done paintings, and he has helped push her into the forefront, the eyes of people. People recognize Vampirella. And it is in part due to Frank Frazetta. that's what I've got this opening. Let's look at it. All right, here's the box. Right off the bat, we got some fantastic, and this is what I was talking about. This is a masterpiece. This is one of those Frazetta pieces that if I could get like an actual printout, like a tapestry or something like that, this is one that would interest me from Frazetta. I just think this is incredibly well done. And I'm going to be honest with you, seeing this, it kind of hits me that now that I have the figure, and now that I'm looking at the art, which I've seen this art before, don't misunderstand my statement, I kind of want that G.I. Joe classified that comes with the alligator, because I could do this. That interests the crap out of me. That's really cool. On the side of the box here, this is a picture taken specifically of the figure, and she cuts an absolute fantastic visual. Here's the actual stuff that we'll get inside. We'll get the figure, we'll get this gravestone area, which is actually really cool. We'll get different hands, we'll get a separate kind of hair, we'll get multiple faces, we'll get the skulls. This looks like it's pretty cool. They're giving us a straight up visual set that we can put on the shelf with our character, which that's cool. I kind of wish we got this from more figures, if you want the truth of it. Here we just have Vampirella. Here we just have Vampirella. And of course on the bottom we have all this information in case you're looking for any of that information. And this is the kind of thing that opens up. So opening this up, we have an absolute fantastic photograph right here. And here's all the stuff that we're going to get inside of this pack. And she looks good from out here. We'll have to see how she actually poses and everything as we get her out. I have a very personalized woman. You've seen my women. Okay. They kind of look alike. I've tried to escape from that, and I was never happy. She's, oh man, I don't know why. I don't know if it's just my angle or what, but I'm having an honest hard time reading this. I have a very personalized woman. You've seen my women. They kind of look alike. I've tried to escape from that, and I was never happy. Okay. She's got to have a certain look. Those eyes that I love. Okay. All right. I don't know why. I could not read that. I have no idea. I really don't know if it was my angle or what, but like, I felt odd even trying to read that. Well, we got through it. Let's go ahead and open it up. All right. Inside the box, there was this. This is pretty cool. This is that first comic book cover that I was talking about. That's pretty cool. I like that. That's neat. One could argue that if I did it right, I could cut this and I could frame that and put it up somewhere or something like that. That would be kind of cool. I could use it as a background somewhere. I don't know 100% what I'm going to do with it. Maybe nothing in the long term. I don't 100% know. This is her. This is Vampirella. She's right here. And I've got her standing, surprisingly, on these heels. And those heels are real, as you can see. But she has a lot of stability. And I'm actually kind of surprised by that. Now, she does come with a lot of hands. She comes with this pointing hand, which is kind of wild here. She comes with a gripping hand, another grip. She comes with this. I'm not sure 100% what we're doing with this. It's very much like this kind of a hand. There's got to be a lot of options here. She has these reaching expression hands, which are fine for what they are. They're exactly what they're supposed to be. She comes with this arm bracelet type of thing. This thing right here. And it's neat, but I don't read this regularly enough to know what this is, or know if it's from a very specific story or something. So it just kind of goes to the side for me. She has this hair, which is flayed everywhere, which is good. And she came with her regular face, as well as the face for having just fed, which is pretty cool. and this face where she's flared and she's kind of got that major attitude, she's coming at somebody. So all of this is really solid. The hair, I imagine, is an easy swap, just like it was with some of the other figures from this line. There. You pull the hair, you place the other. There. Now she's got her hair like this. It's not going to blow anybody's mind, but it does work. I don't hate the way that we're doing the hair swap things with these, so that like you could create different dynamics and whatnot. So you're already seeing I'm having a little bit of trouble here already. I moved her a little bit. There, I got her to stand. She does come with a base right here where we can actually create the entire like cool little setup thing, which is neat. She comes with a demon skull, which is, I mean, it's cool. It's cool for what it is. It's exactly what it seems like. A human skull, and then she has this base and all these gravestones and these bats, these 3 different bats that can go in the trees. That's everything that she comes with. And while it will be cool to set that up as a cool display and whatnot, she's what we need to figure out. She's what we need to see and figure out. First off, as I mentioned in the last video, if you haven't seen that, go back and see it. These videos are a 3-part saga, basically. There are some things that I really like about this. One, she is a little thicker in terms of like her thighs and stuff like that. I actually think that gives her a little bit stability and it makes her look more human, okay? There's a lot more costume here, which I talked about in the last video. Like, this seems more on point to me in terms of how she's actually supposed to look costume-wise. I really like these earrings here that come down. The face is very spot on. It's absolutely fantastic. Like, I mean, it's very, very, very good. The boots are cool. I like these boots a lot. They don't move. Her knee can move. The boots don't move. But I like that they have these slits right here. They come down, they go down into the heel and whatnot. That's very solid. It seems like there's more than enough movement in the ankles and everything for you to be able to kind of move the ankles around and get her to stand. Like, let's get her. Put that foot down a bit, move that, there you go. If I can make her stand in real time, that's important, because that's a real problem with female characters that come with heels. Just like the other one, we have this right here, this, and then this arm is completely naked on this one, which is a little different from the other one, but that's cool because this, like I said, is based on the Frazetta artwork. I like this collar, and I like that it's not perfect white. We're playing around here with the colors that kind of allow us to really get in there. Like, it's nice. I like that it's off-put like that. She's also darker in terms of her complexion as to the other one that we opened. And very blatantly, her chest is different. It seems more like a real person, okay? Look, okay? It's Vampirella. We're going to have to talk about certain aspects, and those look way more real to me than the other one that we opened. The legs are definitely done different. This is a thing that we're seeing in the Frazetta girls figures. We've seen this with Tigra, which is something that I've already covered here. They do this thing where they sculpt the entire butt and then they put it in here. So, like, this is the only kind of problem that you'll come across. But if you do something like that and you're kind of careful about your movements and stuff, this does work. It creates the littlest bit of problem for somebody if they want to try to sit down, though. As you can see, this is not something, it's going to cause issues. I'm sure that we can do it, and I'm sure that if I move with it and mess with it, I can get some decent poses out of it. I'm not too worried about it, but it is something to point out that the legs are different than other characters. It does create that full sculpt if that's something you're looking for. She has cheeks, but it does cause problems in certain areas as well. Otherwise, we have a lot of movement up here The head has a decent enough, I mean, if you, like, it can look all the way down, and really it could look up, but this hair's in the way. Swap to the other hair, or take this hair off. Oh no, she cannot look up. That is, no, there you go. But, as I said, her hair will probably get in her way. No. No, there we go. Okay. She doesn't look up like crazy, but she can do it. Look, she's solid. She's very solid. She has, it feels, and maybe this is deceptive, it feels like she has more movement than Tigra. I don't know if they've learned since they produced Tigra, but she feels like she moves easier than Tigra did, and she feels like she moves without as much restriction as Tigra had. It's very good. This is actually sculpted. It's not painted on there. I think that's cool. It's actually raised. It's a real part of the costume. The detail in this figure is undeniable. I mean, it's undeniable. It is unbelievably solid what they are doing with these figures. The Frazetta girl figures are fantastic. And I mean for both the men and the women. They are really, really good. Now, they are sacrificing certain things. These figures are going out of their way to sacrifice certain things to keep their aesthetic. Like, of course, with the arms, that's it. That's all we're getting. It's not going any further than that. The arms are, this is it. So, I mean, you can get things like this and everything, which is going to be fine. There's a decent enough movement all the way around, but you're never going to get this wrist to come all the way back or something like that necessarily. That could be a problem for some people, to be honest. The knee, this is it. This is it. This is all you're getting. This is the extent right here. You can't push any further back. She will never kick her own shapely butt. But otherwise, like I said, we got a lot of movement here. Like a lot more than the other one. I'm pretty sure this moves better than Tigra. I think Vampirella feels like a better figure than Tigra. Whoa, and she just jumped right off of there. I think I nicked the table, to be fair. I don't know if that was necessarily her fault. But yeah. There, I've got her standing again. It's a solid figure. It really is. It feels like this line is improving. Like, it really does. I look at this as compared to the Tigra that we got. And while I like Tigra, I still have her sitting up on the shelf up there. I have to admit, she feels better in almost every single way. The hair feels better. The movement feels better. The body feels better. Now that can't be helped in some courses. Maybe the fact that she's more full body allows her to have better balance. Maybe it allows her to move a little easier. But I noticed that Tigra felt stiff in a lot of ways. Like, it really actually bothered me and gave me problems when I tried to stand her up or move her and do certain things. And I even remember early on, I tried to sit her in the bone throne to get like a decent picture, and it was not happening. Like, it was not happening. But I feel like, given the right pose, she could do it. So it feels like this line is getting better as it goes, as if it's learning from every release. Now, that might mean that since I got in on the ground level, and I, aside from reproductions, I have everything this line has released. I have the Norseman, I have Tigra, I have Dark Wolf, I have Vampirella. I did not get the second Dark Wolf, so like little things like that I've passed on, but I have everything this line has released first variant. And I more than likely will continue to do so. The next one that they announce, I'm hoping, is Conan the Barbarian. But here's my thing. Will they learn from certain things? Like, there are complaints about this line that could be justified. On both ends. Let me clarify that. See, the people making them want there to be a very specific aesthetic. They want you to be able to get this and have a piece of Frank Frazetta posable art on your shelf. There it is. And it works. It does come with a price. And I don't mean the price tag. We talked about this in the Cami video. The more articulation you add, the more you have to break up the sculpt. The more you have to interrupt certain things. And it can make certain figures look ugly. Some figures pull it off with a ridiculous range of articulation and it doesn't hurt them at all. Some figures can't get away with that. And we actually talked about it in the Cami video. Cami moves so well and still looks like such a good figure. But if we're going to nitpick sculpt alone, not articulation, she will never have the same body that we see from figures like this. And then it comes down to, what do you prefer? Are you going to go out of your way to get something that you can pose, but you still want it to maintain that sculpt? And this is an argument that I see in things like the McFarlane line. A lot of times with DC Multiverse, people get mad at those figures and say that they need to be able to move better, or they need to have this, or they're kind of built a certain way. And a common issue that I always hear is that Todd likes statues. Okay, that's fair. And he doesn't necessarily love to break up the sculpt. If he can avoid it, he likes to avoid breaking up the sculpt. Now, his figures have evolved as we have went, and they have gotten better and better and better. Take the Action Comics Superman, which is still considered to be one of the best, if not the best Superman that has been released. The problem with that Superman, however, is that it's old now. It has the old legs, it has the old arms, it has the old torso, and it's noticeable. It has the old height scaling. You can tell when compared to other figures in the line. Other figures move a little better. They're taller. They have better arms. Better butterflies. Everything about them is a little bit better. But then, maybe, in some ways, you could argue that it's not as good because having a bunch of the double elbows and all this stuff like that breaks up the sculpt. Hey, this is, whether we like to admit it or not, an art form. There is an art form to action figures. How much posability can we add to an action figure before it no longer resembles the thing that we want it to be? And how stiff can we make it before it's no longer an action figure at all? It's just a posable statue at best. This is an argument to be had. It's a real argument. And some people do not like these Frazetta girl figures. They don't like them. And it's a little bit on both ends. I still think there's some learning to do in the line. But I think for what these people are selling, and what they're offering, what they're promising, they have yet to miss the mark. There are things that I could complain about. That Panther should have been a little bit bigger, the one with Tigra, and it should have been posable. If G.I. Joe is doing it at a lower price point, you can't tell me that Frazetta girls could not pull it off. But that's a minor complaint. All things considered, realistically. The plastic seems solid for this. The coloring is unbelievable. The posability will work for me. And one could argue a lower ab crunch would have given me the utmost range in this figure and helped a lot. And that the legs, the way that they're done, are solid enough for when she needs to stand there and you need to see her backside, but are working against her when you want her to sit on one of the gravestones. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I think there's arguments to be had on both sides, but I think this is an art. I really do, and I think that every one of these that comes out, there's merit if you really want to look. Depending on what they were going for, they practically nailed it, and I'm in the line. I've bought all of it, and I'm not put off of it yet. This has impressed me. I can see the progression forward. It does offer the question, if they keep progressing forward, will we run into the same thing as every other toy line in the world, where after a while we're just going to rebuy Vampirella because they've changed the sculpts and they have her better now than ever? Yeah. Yeah, we will. It's 100% undeniable that we keep buying Spider-Man because they keep adding posability that we didn't have. We keep buying Gunpla because the same Gunpla that came out 10 years ago is not the Gunpla that you can get in HG today. We keep buying things like Marvel Legends because the next Captain America will inevitably, in some ways, be better than the last Captain America. We keep buying things like, we keep rebuying Green Lanterns and stuff like that because he keeps making them better. Some of the giant characters have little to no posability in this line, but believe me, when he finally figures it out and he gets the full posability for a giant figure, you better believe that we're going to be running out to replace the ones we have. Heck, even Masterverse falls into this line. There are some figures that definitely could have used certain attachments and things that we have now. She-Ra doesn't raise her arm or hand the way that He-Man can raise his hand because he has this wrist. She has this wrist. That's a big deal. There is something to be argued about the way these lines move forward and advance, and you end up having to buy the same thing again because the old one doesn't move as well or is now basically in the past and feels old. This is an entire argument probably for another video, because for right now, all I'm telling you is that I've added Vampirella and that she is well worth it. She's good, she's fantastic, she works. And I like this gravestone thing that they gave us. In fact, I plan to use this gravestone and another gravestone to kind of start building a makeshift graveyard type of thing that I can take some pictures in. But for right now, Vampirella has been added to the shelf. I'm going to get out of here.
I have spoken. Take what you will from it.